Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the DLF Trade Show, the right now most necessary show on the DLF YouTube channel because according to the lords up high of DLF, March is hashtag Dynasty Trade Month, and we're the DLF Trade Show. That means it is DLF Trade Show Month. Ow. I hit the table a little too hard. My bad. Last week, I should say, we talked about second-year quarterbacks. So we're pushing the train down the positional pathway, and we're skipping over the position we don't necessarily like. And we're going to talk about the position we do like, because this is our show, man. Right? Yeah.
Right.
So we're going to talk about second-year wide receivers. And the first guy we are going to talk about is an intriguing one. I like this guy. And his value is a little bit of a flux, if you will, depending on who the person is that you're dealing with. Like, this is someone who is locked in as a very usable player, or it's just like, we haven't seen enough. I'm not going to value him highly yet.
Mm-hmm.
You intrigued yet? Did I build the intrigue? Did I tease that well enough? I think I did a great job. Thank you. The player we're going to talk about is Elijah Mitchell, who actually comes in at wide receiver 16. I assumed you looked this up today in our brand new February DLF EDP.
Yep.
First trade, 12-team Superflex, Elijah Moore and David Njoku for J.K. Dobbins. In the analyzer, Moore comes in at 286.2, Njoku at 12.9, and the package adjustment is 9.7, so it almost just takes Njoku out of this.
Mm-hmm.
For a total of 289.4, J.K. Dobbins comes in at 370.9. I like wide receivers so much more, but this is Dobbins relatively easily, right?
Yeah.
Here's the tale I'll spin. We haven't seen Dobbins do anything. I feel like by now, usually we would have gotten some sort of update on their health. It's been well over 6 months, or what month are we in? It's been like 8 months almost. Man, time is going way too fast.
Uh-huh.
And it's a little weird that we haven't seen anything. So all we have is our imaginations. Is he healthy? Is he okay? Well, he's on the Ravens, and they don't like to workhorse the guy. He's on the Ravens. They don't pass to the backfield, even though DeVonta Freeman alone got like 30-something receptions. And yeah, maybe I'm going to move off of Dobbins. Going for a young wide receiver, especially if you have a rebuilding team, is absolutely the way to go. And it's a little tough for me to believe you couldn't get more than an Njoku on top of Elijah Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I love the direction of this trade, but the value on Dobbins, on hype alone, and on the decreasing top end value of running backs, like we used to be able to fill almost an entire first round of a 1 QB startup draft with running backs. We probably got like 3 that might be worthwhile. 2 for sure, depending on how you're feeling about DeVonta at the moment, right? So, right. Like, the top end of running back has fallen very far. But in that case, that to me boosts Dobbins a little bit. Because while he's not going to walk in and be the next Christian McCaffrey, he should walk in and be an insanely usable running back every single week that you will start and feel safe about. I like Elijah Moore. I think he looked great on a very poorly run offense, which, cross them fingers, will only get better, especially with Zach Wilson looking a little better as the year came to an end. But I stick with my story. I'm sticking with Dobbins pretty easily. You should have gotten... I'm not going to say Elijah Moore on top of Elijah Moore, because that's a bit too much, but I want someone I'm definitely putting in my lineup here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like would it like the 112 in Superflex do it for you? Or is that too much?
Yes, honestly, probably. And that's like a late first valuation is kind of where I was sticking, because that's usually your low end 2, high end 3 of especially wide receivers. And right. If you're pushing from running back to young wide receiver, you're not going to want to bring a running back on like that. So perfect. Yes, absolutely. That would probably... No, I'm taking away the probably. I would trade J.K. Dobbins for Elijah Moore and the 112.
Yeah, I think I would too. And because of the fact that David Njoku is not the 112 and nowhere near that value, I do agree with you that this is J.K. Dobbins. In ADP, they are separated by a full round. Dobbins is at the 2-3 turn and Elijah's at the 3-4 turn. So it's basically a whole round of difference in ADP there between the two of them. I also, like you said, I think that was a fantastic point where Dobbins is in this value opportunity right now where his value is low because of the ACL injury, but if he comes back and if he is a 1,400 total yard, like a 1,100 rushing yards, 300 receiving yards, double digit total touchdown type of running back, which I don't think is all that hard for him to do,
No.
he probably would immediately bump straight to top 5 running back value, just because we would bump him over Kamara, Cook, Eckler, Mixon, Saquon, all these guys that are older, they're injury prone. These guys are falling down as the younger guys are kind of ascending. That's why, like you mentioned before, and I don't know if it was last week or the previous week, but Javonte Williams is just kind of the de facto like RB4 just because he's 5 years younger than everybody else. And that is what I think J.K. Dobbins could do.
Do you think it takes an entire season for him to do that? If he comes back in those first 3 games, he averages 120 total yards, 3 catches, and maybe like close to a touchdown. Like he'll put like maybe 2 touchdowns out of the 3 games. I think he's boosted to RB5 immediately.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we start getting like training camp stuff of him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's RB 8, 7, 8, 9 in July and August. If we're starting seeing the like training camp stuff.
Next trade is a lot more interesting along the lines of an Elijah Moore trade, because that's who we are talking about in a 14-team Superflex. Elijah Moore by himself at the same valuation of 286.2 is being traded for pretty much what looks like the 2023 draft, first, second, and third from 2023.
Right.
Which I love that, where it's just like, what'll it take for me to get Elijah Moore? Just give me all your 23 picks.
Just your draft class next year. Sure.
Yeah, just so analyzer wise, a 23 first is worth 332.3. So that by itself is worth more than Elijah Moore. But right now, being March 2nd or March 3rd, when you're listening, watching this, would you rather have Elijah Moore or a 23 first?
The 23 first.
Yeah, like let's pretend it's from a middling team. So we're going to say mid. I haven't complained about this on this show yet. I don't remember because I'm on way too many shows at this point. You never want to play the guessing game. Right. It's so easy to turn teams around with a couple of trades and a couple of luck items happening outside your own control. But let's just say a mid first. So in a 14-team league, we're talking the 107, 108.
Yep.
Or Elijah Moore. You're still taking the first?
Yep. Yeah, I would. Just because I think that first is already more valuable now. And with the class that we're going to have next year, potentially, I think that it's going to be more valuable than it is now in a year from now.
I was asking a lot of questions like I didn't agree with you, but I just wanted to keep. I mean, yes, the answer to me is the picks, even though, again, I really do like Elijah Moore. But next draft class is so hyped that there's going to be at least 1 or 2 wide receivers that will jump into February's ADP above of Elijah Moore unless he does something phenomenal, which is in his cards. It is absolutely a possibility. How high of a possibility? That I don't know.
The team that traded the way this 23 first right now, I can run it down for you real quick to give you the idea, because it is kind of that definition of a middling team.
I mean, it's perfect.
I think could go in either direction. But his starting quarterbacks, this is a super flex. So starting quarterbacks, he has Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan, and Carson Wentz. And then he's got Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Melvin Gordon. Those are really, and then he has like a bunch of like second and third stringers, and not like good second or third stringers. And then he has Keenan Allen, now Elijah Moore, and Adam Thielen, Devontae Parker, Shepard, AB, stuff like that. And then George Kittle and Evan Ingram, and a bunch of, he for some reason has like 8 tight ends, like Charlie Warner. I don't even know who that is. Apparently he's a tight end for the Niners.
Oh, good for him.
So, but this is a team where I would expect them to, if all goes well, this is probably a playoff team. I don't think they're an elite playoff team. Yeah. I think they are a, 6 seed in the playoffs. I don't know how many teams make it in a 14 team. Maybe it's 8. But in that back end of a playoff team. But I also see a situation where if one of those running backs gets hurt,
Thielen is 31, and yeah, that's a very dangerous move.
This team could very easily be a top 3 2023 pick, in which case
pick to the moon.
That is going to be an insane pick.
Okay, so let's change this just to give, because now we're dealing in hypotheticals, not a trade that actually went through. Let's pretend this was a more solid competitor. This is someone who believes that they are making it to at least like the semifinals, no less the actual like finals. Like, I have a team that I'm pretty sure is one of the top 4 teams in this league. Mm-hmm. Would you trade your then first for Elijah Moore? Do you think he is good enough to put you over the top at being a finals team, because we can't say you're gonna win the league automatically, but also, is he good enough to score the points and still be worthwhile value wise after next season? Because when you're trading a pick for someone that young, you have to worry about that also.
Right. I don't know, because apparently what I'm finding out from this is that I'm not as high on Elijah Moore as the community is. Like, he's wide receiver 16. He's the number 2. Because I keep forgetting that Chase, he's just so high up there. I keep forgetting that he's also a 2021 rookie wide receiver. But after Chase, Elijah Moore is the wide receiver 2 in value from the 2021 wide receiver class, and the production looks great. Or at least did look great right before his injury, but that also wasn't with Zach Wilson, really. Like, that was, how did you forget who the quarterback was?
NFL MVP Mike White.
Yeah, a lot of that was Mike White. So I don't know. Maybe Zach Wilson takes that step forward. Maybe Elijah Moore just supersedes that with like a bunch of targets, because he is kind of the guy now. And just does well in terms of a PPR kind of value, like what Jalen Waddle did last year without the touchdowns. But I don't know. Like, I don't view Elijah Moore as a guy right now that I would be comfortable starting as my wide receiver 2. And because I'm paying mid wide receiver 2 prices for him, at least in Dynasty, I think he's overvalued as of right now. So I don't think I would make that deal.
Okay, I think we need to do a show based on 2023 firsts. I got to be honest.
Sure.
Because like the value of those is kind of crazy. We'll talk about that later, though. Our next wide receiver is wide receiver 24. He hung around the same spot as he did in January. DeVonta Smith. I like this guy. I don't know how I feel about the team situation, and I think I'm looking forward to them drafting another wide receiver in the top 3 or 4 rounds to let DeVonta's value fall a little bit so I can go get more, because I do like the guy, so I'm going to go get some. In a 12-team Superflex league, DeVonta Smith is worth 250.5. So below Elijah Moore. I keep almost going to say Mitchell. And the thing is, like, I don't even really like Elijah Mitchell. I talk to so many people that do, that is like, he's in my brain.
Yeah.
So the 250.5 points of DeVonta Smith for David Montgomery, Kenny Golladay, and the 304. We got our favorite little pop-up here where it says, caution, Team B is giving away the highest value asset and the most pieces of the deal, because David Montgomery is 279.1, and then Kenny Golladay 64, and the 304 is 50. I mean, they're pretty much just like throw-ins, hey, I'll replace your wide receiver slot kind of thing, even though chances are you don't want to start Kenny Golladay, which makes me super sad. I want DeVonta Smith, and I think it's pretty easy right now for me. Here's the thing. David Montgomery has been a thing because of the offense he's in, not because of him. He hasn't been anything great. He has taken advantage of good matchups when he's gotten them. And he got hurt. And Khalil Herbert came in, looked really good. And the second that Montgomery got healthy again, he took over workhorse carries. But that's with the old staff. We have a new head coach. We have a new OC. We have a new everything. I mean, Montgomery was drafted, 19, 20, 21? Like, we're on a contract year for David Montgomery. If they don't want to re-sign him, or if they want to drive down his price, chances are he's not getting workhorse numbers again. Like, he would have to be so loved, even by this new staff, to hold off Khalil Herbert, who looked really good. And even more importantly, the lesson I have learned about running backs in fantasy football, and the Bears is one of the teams that taught it to me. Though again, this is very long ago and not this current staff. They may have been Pace, who knows? Though I think he's gone, right? I don't remember anymore. Being a good running back doesn't keep your job. You know, Jordan Howard was doing great in Chicago, and then they just didn't feel like doing it with him anymore. And not only did they not even did they bring someone in to compete with them, they just brought in someone to replace them. Like, remember how good Gio Bernard did his rookie year? Jeremy Hill. Like, there's so many. Like, David Montgomery has been good. I don't think it's enough. I think being a 24-year-old running back coming up on your contract year on a team in complete flux, being a player that no one has really firmly been behind, and then give me DeVonta Smith, who is a young wide receiver who has shown talent in actual football, and crossing my fingers that the offense gets better because they are actually seeming to put faith in what they have already and building it up. So that's why I'm sticking with the young wide receiver. Very much can just be my young wide receiver bias. Probably is. But to me, just the upside of Smith is so much nicer than what is a declining asset in David Montgomery.
I would rather have David Montgomery than DeVonta Smith. And maybe this is, again, me figuring out that I'm lower on DeVonta Smith than the community. I see, my problem with him is that I like the player. I like the production that he gave me. I just don't know if that production gets any better, right? Like, it's still going to be Jalen Hurts, I think. Otherwise, you're going to have a rookie quarterback, I would assume. I'm not projecting them to get Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, anybody of that kind of nature.
How dare you leave Russell Wilson out of that elite tier of quarterbacks?
Wilson's not leaving. So
yeah, he's not. It's fun. It's just fun to talk about.
So it's either Jalen Hurts or a rookie. I don't know which one of those is actually better. They might both be kind of the same. DeVonta Smith is a fantastic wide receiver, and I'm torn between the fact that, do I want Philly to sign a good free agent wide receiver or draft a Treylon Burks, Drake London, kind of Garrett Wilson kind of wide receiver with one of their two like mid firsts, drawing more coverage away from DeVonta Smith, right? So that defenses can't just hone in on him, take him out, and say, make Jalen Hurts beat me by throwing Dallas Goedert and Jalen Reagor or Miles Sanders. That then would mean that DeVonta Smith, though, I would think, would see fewer targets per
better
year.
Ones.
Hopefully, I don't know if they're better because it's Jalen Hurts.
Right. I was about to qualify. Less defended. Is that a better phrase?
So he would go from a wide receiver who got more volume, and now he's getting less volume, and you have to rely on the efficiency to get back there. And I don't know if that efficiency is going to be there. So I'm really torn on DeVonta Smith and where I think his future is going to be. I think that he could be perfectly fine as a wide receiver 3. I think he's a guy that you could definitely plug in, and he gets one of those 50-yard touchdown passes from Jalen Hurts, and you're really happy. But then I think that there are going to be a lot of other weeks where, he got coveraged out, or the Jalen Hurts just didn't have a good passing game, or, any kind of thing like that. And he ends up giving you 4 or 5 fantasy points and you're not happy. Like, that's like a perfectly fine wide receiver 3 type. And again, like Elijah Moore, you're paying back end wide receiver 2 prices for a guy that I view as more of a base wide receiver 3 that I might even prefer as my wide receiver 4 or like 3B to another type of DeVonta Smith kind of player on my team. So that's why I'd rather have David Montgomery, who I think no matter what, it's just a plug and play RB2. I don't think, it's kind of like Josh Jacobs. Like, I don't really think he's giving you league or week winning weeks. He has that capability more than Josh Jacobs because he can score touchdowns and has a little bit more of the passing game as well. But I just think like David Montgomery is going to be in my lineup every single week. DeVonta Smith, I think, is not going to be. Kenny Golladay is also a guy that I like as well, just as an upside piece. I like him as a throw in here. I think this is perfect to go get him because he is still the wide receiver 1 on the New York Giants. And if, hopefully Brian Dabble can bring something in and make Daniel Jones work, or, If it's not Daniel Jones, then maybe they get like Mitch Trubisky and he just like chucks the ball or something like that. I don't know. I just think that the upside with Kenny Galladay is a lot higher than this kind of price that you're getting in. So I like him as just like that throw in piece on there as well. So I'll take the Dave Montgomery side. All of that to say, Dave Montgomery.
All right, let's see how you feel about DeVonta Smith in this one, because this one is a little bit more interesting because it's more same level for me. DeVonta Smith and the 206 for Travis Etienne and the 112. The totals of here, DeVonta Smith and Travis Etienne are actually almost exactly even, 250.5 to 253.1. And we have a 6-pick difference, but that is almost 80 points on the analyzer. So the Etienne side has a bit of a jump on this one. It has that 80-point jump.
Mm-hmm.
Would you prefer to drop back 6 points to change from Etienne to Smith, or would you just take the better pick and a player that is okay?
I would take the ETN side on this one as well. I want the pick jump to the 112, and I just want to see what Travis Etienne can be. Like if he has that connection with Trevor Lawrence like they had in Clemson, you know, as a pass catching running back as well. I've seen a lot of people already hype up Etienne as a Swift Kamara type usage running back, which might not give you the elite production that those two are giving you, but you know, if he's giving you 4 or 5 receptions a game, that's going to be a very solid RB2.
Yeah.
And again, everything I just said with DeVonta Smith, like I have no idea what the heck I'm thinking about him. And you get the worst pick attached to that. I think I would rather just take the running back here with the better pick attached to it. I think it'd be a different. I don't know if the picks were swapped, what I would do. I'd probably just take the DeVonta Smith side because it's the better pick. So that might be the influence here for me. And that might be why I'm picking Travis Etienne. I don't know.
Okay. I need the better pick to be on the Etienne side to make me take Etienne.
Okay.
The one thing I will say is from now to, from now until the beginning of the season, let's give a chunk of time. There is a much greater chance in my mind that Etienne's value has a chance of going a lot higher than what is his ADP of 66, I think that is, because he's was hurt. Let me reword. We get that video. We get to see him in practice. We get to see him in a preseason game. And if he looks good, even, he's going to jump up a couple of spots in ADP just because that will take away some of the doubts that some people had. I don't know what it would take for DeVonta Smith's value to go up from here. I don't think we're baking into DeVonta Smith's price the idea that Philly is going to draft a wide receiver. So to me, if they don't, I don't think it changes much. It might go up a little bit just to double count it. But if they do draft a wide receiver, it will most likely drop Smith's value. Mm-hmm. Did that make sense? Did I say that right? I was talking a lot and I zoned out when I was talking.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because so DeVonta Smith and Garrett Wilson are basically back to back in February ADP. And let's say Garrett Wilson actually gets drafted by the Eagles. Would you rather have DeVonta Smith or Garrett Wilson?
I would probably take the known in Smith, and I'd be fine with that.
Even with the 2-year age difference?
23.
Garrett Wilson's 21.
No, that doesn't.
The community might say otherwise, which it leads to your point that DeVonta Smith's value would probably drop.
Yes. No, exactly, because if they do take a wide receiver, it will most likely be one of those early picks.
I know Burks, Wilson, and London are all 21. Well, Burks is about to turn 22, but they're all 2
Burks
or more years younger.
Old. Got it.
Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, like this class. Whereas last year's class was like all 22 coming in, turning 23. This class is everybody is 20 or 21, turning 21 or 22.
Man, I just feel like get off my lawn. These kids, everyone's so young these days. All right, we are going to dive a little deeper for our wide receiver 3. He seemed to be a fan favorite as opposed to how he really worked out in the league. And that's Rashod Bateman at wide receiver 34. I think a lot of people were very into him in the draft process, in him as a prospect. He got drafted by the Ravens, and a couple of people were just like, And then he gets hurt at the beginning of the season, and Hollywood Brown starts doing well. And then by the time Bateman got healthy, started working his way back into football shape, Lamar Jackson gets hurt, and you can't really judge much in my mind. Tyler Huntley looked pretty good, but are you going to say this is who Bateman is when we got to see him catch the ball from Tyler Huntley as opposed to Lamar Jackson? I don't think so. Though maybe that just leaves the volatility of his value like even higher. Like maybe he will jump up if he starts to look good. But let's just jump straight in. 10-team, 1 quarterback. Our first trade is okay. The 105 and Rashod Bateman for Zeke Elliott and a 2025 second. What? Like what? Okay,
just so to even it out, you know.
Yeah, the 105 is a 397.7 in the analyzer. Rashod Bateman 281. Zeke Elliott still up at 372. Little bit less than the 105 in a 1 quarterback league, which is a little interesting. And the 25 second is 70 points. 105 and Bateman or Zeke Elliott for you?
I'll take the Bateman side. I would take the pick over Zeke. And then
that's what the analyzer is saying too. And you said I'll take the pick in Bateman side, and I wasn't sure if you were going to say in a rebuild, but I think anyway, I think is the answer. I think regardless of my team's, I almost said stature, but that's not the right word. You know, the direction my team is going in, I think I take the 105 in Bateman. But if anything else, as a domino, it is so much easier to move the 105 and even Bateman. Then you have to find the right person with the right team to take on Zeke Elliott right now, especially with how I know he finishes a top 10 running back, but that didn't mean anything last year. And he didn't look good doing it. So that even if he did score all those, he did score all of those points. That's how he got them. The fact that there's a lot of us who actually just sit and watch the games. If you see a player who is a running back who's 26 years old already on his second contract, has Tony Pollard behind him, which some people think is a thing for some reason, and then doesn't look good, I think that really drags his value down. And in that case, I think the 105 and Bateman are both ascending assets, and Zeke is falling down fast. So to me, it is pretty easily the Bateman side.
Right. I was going to say, I know that they're separated by 90 points. Is Bateman and Zeke themselves a conversation for you?
No.
It's still Zeke?
Yeah, pretty easily for me. I think you will be able to plug Zeke in as a low-end RB1, high-end RB2 with that ceiling of him scoring multiple touchdowns. Sure. I don't think Zeke is going to fall into uselessness like right away.
Yeah.
I hope.
I don't think so too. It's just his value will forever just on like a roller coaster straight down. He's not going to be Derrick Henry where he's like 28 years old but still putting up 2,000-yard seasons, and that's why he's still a borderline RB1 in Dynasty. Zeke is falling, and he's been falling very hard. So I was wondering if he got to that point where Rashod Bateman would do it for you. But the 105 definitely does.
If I saw better production and if I got to see Bateman with Lamar and he looked good, the two of them, like the connection between the two, maybe I would do it as an upside move, at least just to get out of Zeke before the bottom does drop out completely. But right now, I think I would take an early second instead of the 105 and still do it. Like I almost said, like it would need to be a first, and then I'm like, no, it would. Oh wow, yeah, I would take a second. Like give me Rashod Bateman in the 202.
Okay,
and I would probably send Zeke, and a 25 second. Let's just say I am not taking that into consideration. So in a 12-team 1 quarterback league, we have the 111 Rashod Bateman and OJ Howard for DJ Moore in the 204. The 111 is worth 213.7, Rashod Bateman 158.7, and OJ Howard is still pulling up at 10.5, which is more than the package adjustment. Just saying, go OJ Howard, baby, at a total of 375. DJ Moore comes in by himself at 427.5, and the 204 is 139.7, total of 567.2. And the really weird thing is, man, DJ Moore is still only 24 years old. He's been in the league for 24 years.
He's the new Amari Cooper.
No, Mark, yeah, like seriously. No, it's okay. I've been talking a lot about DJ Moore lately. He is who he is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. If he gets I'm not even going to say better quarterback because it's hard to get worse from what he's had. But if he gets a good quarterback, maybe his touchdown upside goes up a bit, or maybe he just stays allergic to the end zone. Like after he can score 4 touchdowns, but after that it gets a little too itchy and he doesn't want to go in anymore. Because that's just all he can ever score in a single season. I think I still easily send this stuff to go get DJ Moore because in a 12-team league, you feel fine DJ Moore being your wide receiver 2 or 3 because he will always at least be solid.
Right.
He will always be good enough because we've seen him with terrible QB play this year. Between Darnold and Newton, it was just not good. And he still put up 13, 14 points per game. And I'm not going to be sad about that, especially with his value not necessarily being as high as, definitely as high as it once was. His ADP is 43. End of the 4th? 12, 24, 36, 48. Math. Yes. Easily. I mean, I would take DJ Moore pretty easy here. For me, maybe if I'm rebuilding, I take Bateman in the 111, but I don't feel great about it, especially giving up the 204 also. Like if you took the 204 out of this, it would be very close for me. But that's not a terrible pick right now with the amount of wide receivers that are coming out. It's not a sure shot by any means whatsoever, but I think I want DJ Moore here. I don't know if that's me holding on to some love for him, but I really do just think we know DJ Moore is going to score you points for the next few years. Bateman might not be a thing with Lamar Jackson, and the 111 is a very easy pick to flop on. It's a lot of risk. And if I'm getting the 204 back also, so I get another dart throw, what is that, 5 picks later at a wide receiver? Easy. I'm easily taking DJ Moore.
Yeah, this one, I think you're hoping that Rashod Bateman turns into DJ Moore.
Yes.
On the 100%. Ravens.
So
that difference to only have to drop back 5 picks in your rookie draft is not bad at all to pay. And I do think it would be interesting to see how this would look without the second attached with DJ Moore as well. So it was more just a late first and Rashod Bateman for DJ Moore, because I do think that there is a world where Rashod Bateman and DJ Moore produce pretty similarly. Like if you look, I pulled up the splits app from DLF and I looked at Rashod Bateman with and without Lamar Jackson. So in 7 games without Lamar, he averaged 10 points per game, 6 targets, 4 receptions for 53 yards, didn't score a touchdown. In the 5 games with Tyler Huntley, he averaged 7 points per game, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 28 yards, and did score 1 touchdown in that stretch. But Bateman looked really good. Like in his first few games, his first game back, he had 6 targets, 4 for 29, then 6 targets, 3 for 80, 8 targets, 5 for 52, 8 targets, 6 for 80, 4 targets, 4 for 31, 1 target, didn't have a catch, and then 8 targets, 7 for 103. Those were the 7 games Rashod Bateman played with Lamar Jackson.
I love to see that 8 target number over and over again.
I mean, that's fantastic to see. And if he scores a touchdown here or there, like that's not that far off of what DJ Moore was doing with Sam Darnold and Cam Newton, and if they get a rookie quarterback, like now all of a sudden on the Panthers, it's Sam Darnold again or Matt Corral, like that probably isn't going to change. That won't change unless they get Deshaun Watson, unless they get Aaron Rodgers, at least for the next couple of years, I would think. So I don't know. Maybe you believe that Rashod Bateman can become DJ Moore as soon as this year, but this is not the way to go about it. If you do believe that, this is this is pay for what the value is now, not for what you think it will be in the future.
Okay, real quick. If we took away the 204, would you feel better about it? Or would we need to raise that 111?
I would like a little of both. If I was selling DJ Moore and I didn't have that 2.04, I would like that first to be raised. It doesn't have to be much. We don't got to go to like 105 or anything like that, but or maybe it's the 111 Bateman, and instead of OJ Howard, it's Darrell Williams or some backup running back that I think has kind of potential. Honestly, anything's better than OJ Howard at this point. So maybe it's either the combination of a better throwing piece or a better first, but I would probably trade DJ Moore for a late first and Bateman and a throw-in.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be higher for me. If we drop the 204 to a third, or give me the 108 instead of the 111. I don't know why the number 108 popped in my head, but that's kind of for some reason where I'm sticking at. But again, I get the idea, and you spinning that tale of Bateman pretty much being DJ Moore is appealing, if you will. Like I like that.
That's my hope.
Yeah, I might go send some Bateman offers and see what I can do. But we're going to talk a terrible trade first, and a terrible trade indeed it is. 12-team, one quarterback. A lot of one quarterback trades this week. Go all you people in one quarterback leagues. DeVonta Smith and Michael Thomas for DeAndre Swift. I had to build that anticipation. So DeVonta Smith and Michael Thomas for DeVonta Smith. No, DeVonta Smith and Michael Thomas for DeAndre Swift. Those two names are very similar. That's DeVonta Smith and Michael Thomas for DeAndre Swift. One more time, just to make sure I can read English. DeVonta Smith, 386.2. Michael Thomas, 189.8. DeAndre Swift, 837 versus 546.1 total. I am good selling DeAndre Swift right now. He is the running back 2 to 4 in almost every ranking possible because there's no one else to put up there.
Yep, keep going.
You didn't have to move. I knew the jersey was back there. And it had nothing to do with the player. I really like the idea of the player, but terrible team, terrible offense, hasn't played a full season yet. And like you said before, his production is mostly coming through the passing game. I'm happy with the production he's given me so far, but I don't see a world where DeAndre Swift is the running back one. And if that's the case... Correct.
Okay.
And if I don't see that, and I can get a trade where I get RB 2 to 4 prices, it's worth it for me because I don't see the ceiling of what his value's at. It was the same way with DK Metcalf a couple of months ago when he was actually maybe like a year ago at this point when he was wide receiver 3. Like I thought that was silly. So I unloaded most of my DK Metcalf shares wherever I could. All of that being said, you can do better than DeVonta Smith and Michael Thomas.
Not like this.
Yeah. that should be the underscore of our title. DLF Trade Show. Not like this.
Not like this.
Not like this. So don't do this trade. I mean, unless you're getting DeAndre Swift, then just flip him for something.
Oh, yes. Then please do that. Free money. I mean...
Throwing those DeAndre Swifts out there. All right, on that ridiculous note, and I apologize for doing that. This has been the DLF Trade Show, the first show of hashtag Dynasty Trade Month. We will be back next week for hashtag Dynasty Trade Month Part 2. And I'm guessing at this point we're going to be doing second-year running backs where we will give Addison his pedestal to talk about Elijah Mitchell. And then I'm going to call him Elijah Moore the entire show because I'm an idiot like that. Yeah. But for now, Russ Fisher at Dynasty Ad House, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. See you next time.